The Day of the African Child is being commemorated this Friday. The focus this year is on providing greater opportunities for African kids. The Day of the African Child is commemorated every 16th of June in memory of the 1976 student uprising in Soweto, that's in South Africa, where students who marched in protest against the poor quality of education were massacred by the then apartheid regime in place in South Africa. The theme for this year is accelerating protection, empowerment, and equal opportunities for children in Africa by 2030. Let's not get more perspective from the head communication, policy and campaign action aide in Abuja, Tunde Aremu, who joins us now just here with us in the studio. Many thanks for joining us today on TVC News Hour. The Day of the African Child. What do you make of it?
Well, what one makes of it is actually is of mixed feelings. First of all, it's great that the whole world is paying attention to the Day of the African Child. It's a great thing that we also recognize the symbolic nature of the day. But then one is also worried about the state of the Nigerian child, and that unfortunately most of the instruments that have been put in place in Nigeria to observe the right of the Nigerian child have been mere statements of intention. Look at the Nigerian Child Rights Act 2003. Look at the UBE Act 2004. You find out that, yes, first of all, we have a challenge. It took us almost 13 years to actually come to the point where we actually put that Child Rights Act in place. And in spite of that, since 2003, between 2003 and now, only 23 states and the Federal Capital Territory have actually domesticated that law. It shows you the premium we place on the right of the child in Nigeria. And unfortunately, too, you also find out, you see, I call it statement of intention earlier. And I'm consciously using that phrase, statement of intention, because you also find out that even in those states where they have been domesticated, they are just mere paper works. They are not being observed. Yeah. And one important one too, I mean, a lot that is also related to that is that of UBE Act 2004. And you also find out that, look, several states have domesticated it. Several states are
now that you brought up the issue of education, even at the primary school, you're aware that about 10.5 million Nigerian children are out of school as we speak.
The figure we knew before we started talking about those affected by the insurgents in the Northeast. All right. We are suspecting it may be even be higher than that now.
All right, now, here we go again, equal opportunities for children by the year 2030. And as you have rightly mentioned, they are statements of intent in really. You also mentioned that only 24 states have been able to domesticate that law since they are sent to it by President Obasanjo in 2003. Why do you think there is some sort of reluctance on the part of the other states to also, toe the same line?
I mean, a lot of reasons have been adduced for that. And then in the early stage, the impression we had was that the issue of religion, the issue of cultural belief, and it was surprisingly, most of the states in the northern part of Nigeria, where we thought we had that challenge earlier on, have actually domesticated that law. Though we can say that, yes, they've domesticated it, what have they done with it? That's one issue. But even at the first level is that of domestication of that law. But you also find that most states in the country who have not domesticated it are not places where we anticipated it will not be domesticated. And what also signifies for us is that there is lack of recognition of the importance of actually observing the right of the child, what it means for development of the nation. That means there's something wrong with the level of thinking among those who are in charge of our affairs, either as technocrats or as politicians. Because I've had the opportunity of talking to people in the past, right from 1999 up to date, and I said that, look, unless you take care of children who are growing up now, we are going to have crises that are very huge on our hand. And how? Children that are not given education, they are not going to have any skill. Children that are not, whose rights are not observed, who are dehumanized.
Protected.
What type of human beings are you, adults are they going to grow into? And what's the implication of that? And I keep telling the Nigerian that we have also a ruling class in Nigeria that unfortunately cannot even identify its own interests and protect it. And why am I saying so? Is that we are going to be the workforce in the next 20 years. With these children who you are not giving any education, who you are not giving any skill.
They must even be alive before they can become adults, yes, and turn to the workforce. Let's talk about the protection a bit just before we come back to you, IK. The Boko Haram insurgency has ravaged a lot of part in the northeast. The IDP camp is there well and alive. Children are there, some of them starving, some of them malnourished. Even if you go beyond the shores of Nigeria, children are being conscripted into soldiers and all that. How do we protect our children?
Unfortunately, there's no mechanism in place to protect them. We've had a situation where the insurgents are walking to a male school and slaughtered children. We've had a situation where insurgents are walking to school and moved female students out of that school, and we are still struggling to get most of those girls back.
Ekpa is counting the 22 as we speak. The boys are not back.
The boys are not back. I mean, it's sad that it's not just in the Northeast, but the Northeast case is peculiar. Now, Nigeria, we talk about Joseph Kony in Central African Republic. Everybody is talking about it. But who's documenting our experience in Nigeria? On record, we have a situation where about 2,000 children have actually been abducted and are being used as child soldiers.
Right.
But unfortunately, Nigeria state has not been talking about it. Nobody's mentioning it anywhere.
Now, a famous political philosopher, Plato, once said that the society or state is the individual writ large. Now, what that means is that the state is a bigger form of the individual. Now, a child that is not protected, that is well protected, is the future of the state. Yes. The question is, what role do you think that the society, the family, and the state can play in the quest to protect the child?
Well, in Action Aid, where I work, we believe in inclusive governance, we believe in participatory governance, and we believe in the right of citizens to actually get actively involved in the development plan of the country in how they are governed. So we believe that the citizens need to get involved, actively involved. And we also believe that apart from those of us who are NGOs, who are involved now, that different agencies of the civil society, from the labor centers to the affiliate unions, to community associations, to religious bodies, that we all need to get involved. But I also need to sound some warning. Why we need to get involved, why many of these structures are beginning to realize their responsibility to get involved. You also find out that we also need to take care of a major challenge, that of poverty in the country. Unless you deal with the issue of poverty, the Nigerian citizens are also not going to be able to stand up and make necessary demand on the state and also get actively involved in taking care of the Nigerian child. Because it's only when people have not been beaten down that they are going to be able to rise.
But year in year, I will come up with a lot of programs and initiatives to eradicate poverty. The MDG came and went. We didn't meet it. SDG is here. Are we going to meet it?
It's also about the sense of responsibility of those who are in charge of our affairs, and also the issue of inclusiveness that I have mentioned earlier on. Because Nigeria is not in want of development strategy. Right from 1972 up to date, I doubt if there's any country on the surface of the earth that has had as many development strategies as we have had.
All right.
But you also find out that these are strategies developed by technocrats without the active involvement of the people, development strategies that are not owned by the people and that don't speak to the needs of the people.
Which is what development communication is all about.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll leave it there. Many thanks for your time and your contributions today on TVC News Hour. Tunde Aremu, Head Communication Policy and Campaign Action Aid.